Betty Mubangizi from the University of KwaZulu-Natal has been given a nod for the second time as the chairperson of the South African Research Shares Initiative in Sustainable Rural Livelihoods. Professor Mubangizi joins me now. Professor, firstly, congratulations on this second term. Let's speak to what it is that you achieved in the last 5 years that's resulted in this second reappointment.
Thank you very much, Hugo, for having me. Good afternoon to you and the viewers out there. Well, at the heart of my research here lies the pressing concern of poverty, spatial inequalities and social exclusion. And the chair operates within the realm of public administration. So we scrutinize how policies are conceived, interpreted, and executed by public officials. In the first term of my chair over the last 5 years, the chair has graduated 11 PhD students, it has hosted 3 postdoctoral students, and we've also graduated a number of masters and honors students. We've also been involved in a range of research aspects relating to governance, infrastructure challenges, communication issues in rural municipalities, and a range of rural development challenges.
So let's talk about the next 5 years. What are your plans? What do you envision achieving?
Hugo, the first phase of my chair focused on rural municipalities, particularly those that service land that is on communal property. And into the second term, the chair will continue to do so, and the research thrust will be an extension of the themes that we focused upon in the first phase. In addition, however, we hope to extend the place-based approach, which has been in the Alfred Nzo District Municipality. My plan is to extend to other rural municipalities and possibly in other provinces. We will continue highlighting the unique needs of rural municipalities, while at the same time advocating for funding mechanisms and governance processes that focus on networks and partnerships.
Now, one of the things that you're involved with is promoting the adaptive capacity of rural communities to climate change. Speak to us about that. I mean, it all seems pretty complex. How is the messaging, certainly when it comes to the folks in the rural areas, and what initiatives are you carrying out in that regard?
We recently concluded a research project that was funded by the Water Research Commission. It particularly wanted us to look into the rural community's adaptive capacity to climate change, but within the context of groundwater. Now, one reality is that very many rural communities, very many rural households continue to rely on spring water and water from streams because rural municipalities have had difficulties reticulating waters to rural households. And so we wanted to see how one can be aware of the specific needs for groundwater provision, ensuring that it is kept clean, that it is that communities are able to make sure that this provision of water from the springs remains healthy and sustainably available for a very, very long time. And we noticed that few municipalities actually include spring water protection in their IDPs, and that is one of the main recommendations that came out of that research.
Now, Professor, why do rural communities remain unserviced, even though there are budget allocations for them to receive services?
The challenges are quite kind of really structural. If you consider the fact that, most of them are based around three specific issues. The first one is that there are obvious geographical challenges. If you consider the fact that the settlements are dispersed over large swathes of land and often very difficult terrains, the scattered nature of rural livelihoods, of rural households, obviously complicates the provision of basic amenities and infrastructure, because reaching each dwelling, as you can imagine, is logistically and financially demanding. But apart from that, the third main cause is that there are financial constraints and unemployment in very many of our rural places. Rural municipalities often grapple with financial limitations, and this is due to the inability for such municipalities to generate income through property taxes and service charges as urban municipalities would do. So such high levels of unemployment within these areas restrict the potential tax base, making it very challenging for municipalities to fund essential services. And then, of course, there's the big issue of the reliance on allocations. We are aware that rural municipalities heavily rely on allocations from the National Treasury, and this places rural municipalities in a very precarious positions because such allocations may not adequately cover the extensive needs of infrastructure development, leaving many municipalities struggling to address the growing demands for services.
Now, Professor, I understand that. Hello, Professor, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
So, Professor, I understand that one of the reasons that people in urban areas get service delivery is because they make demands for service delivery. So even when they're not getting the required services, they will march, they will demonstrate, they will picket, they will do all sorts. Do we have an equal amount of service delivery protests happening in rural communities? Are the people in our rural communities aware of what their rights are as citizens in regards to service delivery?
Well, when people need something, they don't have to be told that they need it. So yes, people are aware of the precarious situation they are in. People actually do protest in rural areas. It's just that their messages and their protests rarely make it to Newzroom Afrika and perhaps other news channels, specifically because they are very far away. Getting to them is very difficult. The roads are problematic. And so their needs and their concerns rarely make it to the news headlines.
So my final question before we let you go, do you get the sense that there is a desire in municipalities to address some of these challenges? I mean, you've talked about accessibility, for instance, so roads is an issue. Many times over, we've covered issues around bridges that either collapse or are in a state of disrepair. We've talked about folks in rural areas. We've talked about students in rural areas that are having to wade across streams and rivers because there are no dams that have been put in place by municipalities. Okay, we seem to have
So no, I'm still here. Yes. Municipalities try within their available resources to address such issues, and then of course there's the links, the intergovernmental relations that where national and provincial is supportive of municipalities. But I've also indicated the fundamental challenges of geographical issues, financial constraints, and unemployment, as well as a very weak revenue base that will continue to plague very many municipalities. And to respond to that, we require a multi-pronged approach where we explore, for example, alternative revenue streams that municipalities can look into, as well as innovative, service delivery models. But I think a very important issue is for municipalities to collaborate and engage themselves through network governance structures with the private sector as well as NGOs and other community-based structures.
Professor Betty Mubangizi, appreciate your time this afternoon.